Hello and welcome to my channel, Emma's Life in Norfolk. I hope you're all well, and today I'm going to be showing you what I've been doing in the greenhouse. So my video starts with a quick pan round so you can see where my plants are and how I'm getting on. Our peas, leeks, carrots, which seem to be progressing extremely slowly, my beans, snapdragons, artichokes, and then you'll also see my potatoes outside. So I'm really getting there. I'm not doing loads and loads and loads, but I do feel like I've got the right amounts. Some years I've done far too much, and then you just can't keep up with everything, and I just don't have enough space for everything. So I've really tried to focus on what we're going to eat. So in a minute you'll see a little clip of what I'm doing in the greenhouse. I'm repotting some things. So what I've started doing is I've just started repotting on my artichokes. So do you remember on my other video, I did a tray of these, and I find when you do a tray, it's far more successful. So I don't know if you can see here. Also, I've done them in pots, but look, these are my green beans. And they've come up really, really strong and big. I used Jack's Magic soil, which seems to be much better than anything else. It's now out of stock. It's difficult to get. So they've come up really well. And I've put some of them in my tray there. But the artichokes have all come up here. That one's gone wrong. And then I've been potting them all like this. And then I'm putting them over on my shelving unit to create more space. So I love the look of artichoke plants, but also I've recently started eating grilled artichokes and marinated artichokes. So I figured that the more I put in my garden, I can put them in my flower area. But the leaves add quite a lot of kind of visual appeal in terms of the colours, the shape, and also I've got a little artichoke growing. Certainly my first this year. Last year I had one, but it was tiny, too small to eat. So I'm just going to get some pots. I could use the ones under here, where I stored them very sensibly, thanks to the advice of some of you. And a lot of people wash all their pots out. I don't, but I do just check for slugs. I've got some soil in here that I used for cuttings of the vine that didn't take. I put a little bit of soil in that. And then if you look, just go underneath very gently and carefully. And then you'll get won't damage the root. And I always like to pot it with some soil which has been in. Now, I've got no idea why I do that. I just think, that soil is also quite warm compared to that. I don't know, I just think that the plants are more likely to grow better and stronger if I use some soil that they've been in. And I did realise, I'm pretty certain, that these haven't yet got their true leaves. So possibly I should have waited a bit, but I wanted to get them done. So just lift them out gently. And then I'll have some soil that I can put on the top. I just put my finger in the middle to make a hole, and then I just pop it carefully in. Well, not that one's not quite ready really to be potted on. Don't want to put them on the top shelf. The top shelf seems to be getting soaked at the moment. Well, it seems a bit random because it's really dry, that plant. I'll put it up there until I have a sort around. So I'm going to take underneath these again to loosen up some soil. But I think, how many were in this? Does it say how many seeds? 50 seeds. Whoops, I'll have to count how many I've had, but I've had quite a lot come up. It's the Violetta ones that I really like. that I might treat myself to some with my birthday money. And a bee has come in here and joined me. Oh, when I just now came out, I thought the next door neighbour's bees had swarmed into our tree. They haven't. They were just absolutely covered on the laburnum. It looked lovely, and there's a bee now in here. Beautiful. Just going to move my camera so you can see me a bit better. You can see the world's biggest Achalasia as well. Don't want to see the back of my head all the time, do you? Probably why I haven't brushed my hair. My daughter's busy making menus because we've got people coming round today, and she's made a really fancy menu for everybody. And she's made 3, which I thought was perfectly adequate, but she said she wanted to print some more off. Whoops. Lovely long roots. And I'm nearly out of soil here. Hello, you joining my video? I'm talking to my camera. You come and have a look to see what I'm doing? Alright, do you want to turn the camera off a minute? Okay. Alright, good girl. And you as well. So I've got quite a few. I need to count all these up because I paid for 50 seeds, and I've done pretty well, I think. It's funny how sometimes you have such great success and other times you don't. And all gardeners have things that don't grow. All gardeners have things that don't grow, but often certain gardeners won't tell you. So if you feel like you're not green fingered and you've grown things, that's just because you've not grown enough things. The more things you grow, the more success you have. So if you see someone else in your family, oh, they're always growing things and everything's always coming up, they don't tell you about all the things that they didn't have grow. They just show you, oh, look at all these things that did. I mean, think about all the beans that I grew. Remember in the pots at the start of the season? And so many of them didn't actually come up. And then I did more, and then I decided to do more in a tray. And then I remembered, oh yes, I remember that. The tray is actually really successful. That bumblebee, is it in the picture? It's lovely. It is in the picture. It's lovely. Right, I need some more soil. I'm running out of soil. This seems to be out of stock across the whole of the United Kingdom. Lots of the soil at the moment, because all of our soil has to be peat-free, which... Why does it have to be peat-free? Well, I don't quite understand the detail, but I'm pretty certain that's because with peat, that's damaging the environment. So I don't know if there was a ban or what happens, but... Pardon? I did, didn't I? That's annoying. Never mind. I was trying to answer your question. So they don't want to dig up the peat beds. But the problem is... Oh, I've lost them under here now. The problem is... you end up having this stuff. What they do is, you know, all the stuff that we put in the food waste bins, the council turn that into compost. Also, all the stuff in the brown bins that many people, we don't use weed killer, but a lot of people use weed killer. That weed killer all gets put in the brown bins. They turn that into compost. Well, do you think there's a chance that could actually stunt growth? Because I do. And then they then sell it back to us, our own stuff, as compost. I didn't know that. Now, I used to have compost bins, lots of them, and I stopped, remember, because the rat in the bin when we had chickens. Oh. We were encouraged, the rats were looking, when we got really strict on the chickens' food, they then went for the compost bin. I could start my compost bin again, really. So it's really good to make your own compost. Really good to make your own compost. But the compost you seem to be buying, this peat-free stuff, well, we saw from these. I'll just show on the camera. So these are my snapdragons. Whoops. That side are really tall and they've grown quite well. Most of them are like that.
They're also quite lazy.
And they took absolutely ages to grow. No, it's okay, they're about the right size. But they took ages to grow, and it's because of the soil. So I said to the lady in the garden centre, oh, what do I need to do? And she said, try Jack's Magic. And it's Jack's Magic, which Daddy tried to buy for my birthday. And it's apparently out of stock. Is that a little spider? No. So are you going to go and tidy up the table? Because if that's what Daddy's asked you to help with.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Daddy says will you help me tidy the table with me? But Daddy's not actually going to tidy the table with me. It's just me going to tidy the table by myself.
No, you won't. Come on, Daddy's doing loads of stuff ready for Mummy's birthday. And it is also one of my daughter's chores, but it's kind of, if I don't constantly ask her to do it, sometimes it gets forgotten, should we say. And the reason why it's been forgotten recently, is because she needs a new pocket money chart. And this motivation when you get 20p to clear the table. Cool, that could be motivation for me. I could pay myself 20p to tidy the table. I wonder at what point it would become motivational. 30p, 40p, 50p, a pound. It's not the same when it's your own money though, is it? When I ages ago I decided to get better and get a bit tidier before I started my channel, I considered getting a cleaner. But I really begrudge paying someone to do something that I can do. So I decided that I'd just pay myself £20. But it didn't last long. It didn't last long. Cool, this is good. It's really good seed pack. Soil. Take some from here, I suppose. That's nice and warm. How much do I need? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. That one's root's quite small. It's got 2 chances. Oops. Did you see my video where my day was absolutely made? I had a break at work and I went out into here and I was moving the plants around to do my slug hunt. I might have told you on my other channel. And there I just looked and thought, ah, is it what I think it is? And it was a newt. I was so pleased. It took me back when I was about 10 and I found a newt in the garden. I had never seen one before and I stared, not recognising what it was for a minute. I've got a lot of these, haven't I? So, do you reckon I'm going to be... Oh, it's a snail. Do you reckon I'm going to go into business selling artichokes to local restaurants along with snails? That's my dream, to have a little snail farm. That's what I'd like to do. And I've thought about that for years. But it's not come to fruition yet. Right. One, of course, getting hot in now here. 3, 4, 5. Sorry about that, someone called me. So it's in 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. So 43. I think 43 for a pack of 50. Yeah, 43. I think for a pack of 50 seeds, I think that's pretty good. What are you getting out of there? A soil thing. I think you're better to put it back in the box because I don't want it.
Do you not?
No. So I can better to try and declutter it, sell it, give it to somebody who wants it.
You want to try it?
No, I don't. So what's the point of using it and getting it all dirty and getting it all messed up? I don't want it. No, I don't want it, darling. You ask for one for your birthday. I don't want it. Can you put it back in the box, please, sweetheart? I got it for birthday last year and I didn't want it then. Right, do you want to turn the video off? Because this is not working, is it? And I'll come in and I'll sit and clear the tidy up. I realised I forgot to count a few up there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. 46. It's pretty good. 46. Could do with planting out some of these. It's a nice strong one. Got so many slugs in here. Oh. Gotta be careful because if the plant starts getting attacked, getting run down, not enough water and it gets weaker, that's when you get things that start attacking it. Yeah, like this has got aphids on it. I do not want aphids in my greenhouse. Ah. So I hope you enjoyed watching me do that clip, just for you to really see just me sort of repotting, and the artichokes have really come on since I've repotted them. You might lose a couple when you repot. I've lost one to the snails, but all the others are doing quite well. So then next I decided to do some more sorting in the front garden. So I've bought some privet bushes to put in. I haven't yet dug them in, but I wanted to cut the hedge back a bit more, put as much as I possibly could in the brown bin before it was collected, and then I decided to do weeding. Now I actually enjoy weeding, I find it really relaxing, but I much prefer sitting on my garden cushion. But unfortunately I'd left my garden cushion outside in the rain, and I find it quite relaxing. It's funny me seeing myself moving so quickly like Speedy Gonzales. But I managed to get so much done, don't I, like this. Look how quickly I'm moving. No, seriously though, I think this is 6 times speed. But what I'm trying to do is, once I get to the point where I've weeded both sides, I'll actually be able to then rake the stones over where it's really thick. That's what I want to do. At the moment, the front garden has got a bit overgrown. There's more weeding that I need to do. I also need to cut the grass. But we've had sort of a period where we had no rain, and in the last sort of week we've had quite a lot of rain. So I need to wait until it's completely dry. So I might do that in the next couple of days. So once you watch me completely weed this area, I then go to the back of the house and you'll see all the painting that I've done. I've done loads of painting on the back of the house. Now the funny thing is, I said in my other video, my other channel that a number of you follow, how I went to the very, very top of the ladder and I just needed to do that whole section. I don't think, once I've repainted the house, I don't think I'll ever do it again. I think next time I'll pay for somebody to decorate the house. The thing is, at the moment, you can't get people anymore that will paint on a ladder. So that means you have to pay for scaffolding, and scaffolding is like about £2,000. It's really expensive. But it was really, really high. I mean, that doesn't give you full appreciation as to how high actually I was up. It really doesn't give you that sort of full perspective on my video, playing it back. So I said to my husband, I know that the purpose, really the reason why we're doing all of this, is once the veranda is up, I'm not going to be able to paint where I am in the video at the moment. It's going to be really hard to get there, isn't it? So that's why we decided to paint it. So my husband said, well, don't worry about doing the whole bit at the top, by the top of the guttering. Let's just get this area done. And I said, if I don't do it now, I don't think I'm ever going to do it again. I think the worst thing is I didn't have any way of holding on. So I literally had got one hand has got the brush and the other hand was holding the paints. My husband did suggest that I got a little container, but I'd have needed to hang that either right on the top of the ladder or then by a hook. And I said, oh, we don't need that, we don't need that. But actually we probably did. So after we did loads that afternoon and evening, we haven't done anything since. So because we've had some rainy days and we've been trying to decide whether to go for clear or opal for the roof, I think we are going to go for opal. That's what I'm thinking. A couple of people said, well, if you want it to be more shady, you could just put your umbrella under it, but that's kind of defeating the object, isn't it? I just don't want the dining room to be dark. But I think we're going to have to go for opal to get some shade and reflect from the sun. I think if we go for clear, that also might heat up the dining room, which I really don't want because our house is lovely and cool in the summertime. It's cold in the winter, as I've told you many times, but it's lovely and cool in the summer, which I really like. So we managed to get a lot of the painting done. As I said, not all of it, and some of it you can see the contrast, like the bits down below. There's a massive contrast between the bit we have and the bit we haven't done. And then after the video of me doing the painting, which is very, very fast, and it gets darker and darker and darker, you'll then see me making a change with my big blue plastic container. So I've got this massive, great blue container that I think had like cement or something in it. And the lady, when we bought the house, the lady had these tradespeople come round and trick her. And she'd spent a lot of money. They said they were going to put a water butt in, and what they actually did was they got an old bit of pipe work, this old cement container, bright blue, didn't have any sort of lid, so in the summer it used to be like really encourage all the mosquitoes, and she paid them for that, and she thought it was a water butt, and of course it wasn't. So we moved that away from the house ages ago because obviously it was a bit of a risk in terms of it being damp. And I've had it down the end of the garden. I've used it as a compost bin. Then I emptied it out a couple of years ago. I think I might have even done a video on this channel about that. And then I've used it for my plastic pots. But the problem is it's got no holes in the bottom. So it gets absolutely full of water. So it's just really not very practical. So when I was sorting everything round and sort of putting the line there where I was hanging the washing, because we're about building the veranda, I decided that I was going to get rid of it. And so you can see that I brought it through. It's quite heavy and quite an awkward shape, and I was going to put it at the front of the house and put a sign on it for free because I thought someone might like it for an allotment. And then I suddenly had this idea. What about if I drilled holes in the bottom of it so it had drainage, and then I put my potatoes in it? I did even think that I could have done holes on the side, but I thought, I know what would happen. That would be, they wouldn't necessarily grow in the way that I'd want them to. So while my husband and my mum's partner were working on the veranda, I asked if I could borrow a drill, and I drilled loads of holes in the bottom of it, and then you'll watch me fill it with soil And then the potatoes that I had left over, which I still haven't had a chance to put in, I then put in and use some of the soil, you know, the soil that I'm trying to get rid of in a massive great pile. I use some of that. So fingers crossed, I'll have all the potatoes that you can see in the picture now, as well as potatoes in that big blue container. So it'll be quite nice. Hopefully they'll be ready in probably end of June, beginning of July, I'd think. You wouldn't believe the amount of pots that I've got. You probably would actually. I've got so many pots, and then every time I found people getting rid of pots, I try to get more. Just because often I had a shortage. That's why, not because I have a strange obsession with collecting pots, but I just felt like if I can just get them and pick them up from other people. And I was selling a lot of plants, and I used to run out of pots of certain sizes. So that has meant that I'm now ended up with loads and loads of sort of seed trays that I don't use, certain size pots that I don't use. So I really decided to get rid of a lot. And I also put some, you remember I tidied up and had some different containers. I put them out by the front of my wall as well. Quite a lot of those have been taken, but my plastic pots haven't yet, unfortunately. I assure you, I'm not somebody who's experienced at using this sort of equipment, but I was quite pleased with myself that I managed to drill quite a few holes quickly and easily. And so hopefully there'll be enough drainage. And I thought I could use this every year for potatoes. So we'll have to see how successful it is. I had quite a lot. I had some soil, Jack's Magic soil, which seems to be impossible to get because it's the only soil where seedlings seem to grow. I had some of that left and I put that at the bottom. Then I just had some soil left from one of my compost bins, and then some soil from that massive great area where all those other bins are. If you remember me talking about a couple of projects we had where we had to move loads and loads of soil from the side of the house when we put the patio down. So I was too tight to pay for, too sensible, not too tight, too sensible to pay for a skip. So I ended up with loads and loads of soil. So I've got rid of one container of soil. It's just the other I need to get rid of now. And you can see there, look, the black bin, which was a compost bin. Now it's absolutely full with everything's kind of turned to soil. So I've got some other containers there, plastic bags of soil. There was like bonsai soil and orchid soil. It's been sitting there for absolutely ages. So I thought, right, I'm going to declutter all of that. So you can watch me fill that up. And then I sort of top it off with the soil from the side of the house. That is not good quality soil, but all the rest of it is quite fertile. So fingers crossed, I shall have some potatoes growing that. Probably when I get back from, I don't know, it might be just before we go away on holiday. So are any of you got any planned trips coming up? So as I said, my daughter's got a trip to France and me and my husband are going to be going away at the same time, which will be nice. Although we'll be away, I've not booked off the entire time from holiday, so I still need to work, but I've agreed it with my manager. And that'll be nice, like at lunchtime, I'll walk into the town and have a lunch somewhere else. And then next month we'll be in Italy. So we're going to Abruzzo and we're going to stay for about 7 days in Sulmona again, which is where I was last year, if you remember. And then we've got some time in a holiday park. So very much looking forward to that. I can't believe how quickly it's come round, really. It's not far away at all. So you can then see in the video how I use my new birthday spade that my dad got me. I wanted a lady spade and to put loads of that soil. So I'm slowly getting rid of that soil. That'll mean I can get rid of that white big sack container that's sitting there. So just behind me, where I'm then just standing, I've got my raspberry bush. And I definitely, if you've not got raspberries in your garden, you live in the United Kingdom, I would definitely recommend raspberry bush. The first year you hardly get anything. The second year you get about 2. The third year you get a couple of bowls, and then it gets more and more and more and more. And that's what I partly love about gardening. It's all about looking to the future, thinking about the seasons, thinking about what you're going to do in a year's time or in 6 months' time. I think that's a really good for people's mental health, actually. Watching things grow. We've got a family friend who sadly spent some time in hospital and then actually just got to a point where he ended up not being able to use his legs, became bedbound. And for a whole variety of different reasons that I won't go into, he's now in a residential care home and his wife's at home. So it's just like such a sad situation. But at Christmas, I got him some bulbs and I got the same bulbs for his wife. So they used to talk about how each of their bulbs were getting on. And then after that, she then got him some more and they talked about it. You know, him just enjoying watching them grow. I certainly get a lot of satisfaction of watching the things that I grow and develop and then, you know, take the fruit off them depending upon what they are. So I'm back in the greenhouse, and if you were quick enough to see, you'd have seen that I got my big tray of beans. Now, I don't know whether you watched my last video where I talked about doing the beans in individual pots. Yes, I did do that this year, and then they didn't grow and I did loads more in pots, didn't I? Well, I remembered from a couple of years ago that the most success I actually have is where I put a thin layer of soil, empty out a whole packet of beans on the top in a tray, and then put soil on the top. And then you just very carefully put your hand underneath, a little bit like I did the artichokes earlier in the video, and then just put them individually then in the troughs that I've got there. So I've got 2 of those sort of trough containers next to the potatoes. Then I've got 2 more in the greenhouse. And this is where I said on my video the other day about how my dad came round and said, "How do you keep the snails away?" And I was telling him about it, and then I went in the greenhouse and there was obviously a big snail had devoured the ones which were on the floor, unfortunately. But they haven't gone near the ones left in the tray, which is strange. So I shall take out the ones which have been nearly completely eaten and replace them. I still have this big gap though. I don't think you can quite see it on this angle. One of the panes smashed, the glass panes. So it's not secure from pests because pests can kind of easily get into the greenhouse at the moment. Previous years, I've had no slugs, no snails, no pests at all. But this year, I've got a lot of slugs and quite a few snails. There was one really big common garden snail, really, really lovely. And to be honest, I put it in my brown bin to go on a journey, but it's lovely. And I don't want it to leave the garden really, but also I don't want it to eat everything that I've grown. So I've not got that much of my video left, but before I go, I thought I'd just go through a few of your comments. So thank you very much for adding comments on my videos. My videos were getting about 1,000 views per video. It's kind of dropped down a little bit, but I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this video and you haven't already subscribed, please, would you consider subscribing? I'd really appreciate that because, as I said, I'm trying to get to 1,000. So Stacey Stapleton 5257 says, "I love your videos. They give me so much inspiration." Oh, that's nice. "My tomato seedlings have just started to come up, and I've got red sunflower seedlings too. I'm planning to do spring onions and radishes next. I love your garden." Thank you very much, Stacey. How are your tomatoes doing now? Because that was just over a week ago, nearly 2 weeks ago. So I reckon they're going strength to strength. I love red sunflowers. That'll be nice. Alice Gorgeous says, "Use the old oak for firewood. Waste not, want not. Glad your husband wasn't hurt." Thank you for that, Alice. Unfortunately, we can't use that the old oak for indoors because I'm 99% certain at some point in time the paint used on that would have had lead. A lot of paint in the United Kingdom had lead in it over the years, and because it's so old, I think it probably has. We actually did we had oak windows when we moved in, and we paid for them all to be reopened because people had literally painted them closed, and we got a carpenter to go round, repair them and preserve them. And then a few years later we had new UPVC ones. I do like the wood, but for various reasons we decided to get them replaced. But we did actually chop up some of the windows and put them on the fire, and retrospectively we probably shouldn't, because I bet that's got lead in it. Sandy says that's a lot of weeding and fighting the dead bush. Love your green spaces, it looks good. Thank you, Sandy. Zoe Postner says, hi Emma, gosh, quite a shock when things like that happen. Glad nobody was hurt. We are also on with changes to the outdoors. We've had some raised beds made out of sleepers and taken some of the lawn up to create a seating area. Oh, that's nice. I'm actually sat watching your video whilst allowing my joints to recover. Oh, that's nice. Have a little relax. Your garden is so beautiful. Hard work always pays off. Good luck to Mini Emma with her exams. Sending love. Thank you very much for your lovely post, Zoe. And Zoe sent me some flowers. Ladybird, a caterpillar, an ant, a bee, a crocodile and a bluebird. Oh, thank you very much, Zoe. A lovely post. And that sounds really nice what you're doing with your garden. Sounds lovely. My mum, when we were married 20 years, my mum gave us quite a lot of money because she wanted to get us something. She didn't know what to get us, and she asked me and I couldn't decide. So she gave us some money to get something for our anniversary. And we've actually been saying recently, what about getting like one of those egg chairs that we can use to sit underneath my veranda? I thought that might be quite a nice idea. You can get single ones, but you can also get double ones. But I've said to my daughter, look, it's not for you. She looked a bit disappointed. I can imagine her taking over the chair. And also, I don't think we should sit in the seat on our phones. That should be a nice seat. Nice seat. We can sit and relax. Maybe read a book. Sit out there in the summer. That's what I'm thinking. And now you can see the video has moved round to that little section by my house, by the side of the veranda. So there was a really lovely big wallflower there, but if I'm honest, the wallflower had gone a bit crazy. It's a few years old. I just decided that it had got too big, too woody, and decided to take that up. I've got a lot of coarse grass in this section, and I think the only way really to get on top of that is as soon as I see that sprouting, I need to pull it up. But what I would really love is your ideas about what sort of area I should do here. Because clearly this section, which is going to be under the veranda, is going to be very dry. So I was thinking I could put sort of some like alpine type plants, maybe some cactuses. But this bit where I'm sitting is going to be outside, you know, it's not going to be covered here. I did spot that the tap is leaking and the snails have made it their home. There's a piece of wood there and there's loads of lovely big snails sitting there. And then right towards the end of the video, you're going to see me planting out my peas. So the potatoes are doing really well, and I left a little area next to my metal fence where I can put peas in. Now, I didn't manage to get them all done before we were then going out, but I've done a line of peas and I've got about half a tray left. So I'm going to put them diagonally along there, and I'm going to trail some of the peas up the fence, the little metal fence, and I'm also going to put some canes, some bamboo canes in. I always feel a bit disappointed, you know, when you plant things in and that takes a while for them to then grow their roots. And I feel like you look at them for a week and they don't grow, and then suddenly they take off. But the peas really are for my daughter because she loves fresh peas in the garden, so they're for her. And she's had 2 marks back from her exams and she's done well. I'm very, very pleased with her. So today we popped into the city and I let her have a couple of treats. So if anyone's got children of around 10 to 13, not sure if it's more suitable for girls than boys, but she's been reading the Greenwild books. She's read the first and the second, and she said it felt like ages ago. Oh, the next one's not out till June. So she's nearly finished Anne of Avonlea, which I wanted to read with her at the same time, but she was up very early this morning reading the book. So she's quite a way through that, so I don't think I'll catch her up. But once she's finished that, she's then going to go on to the third book. So that was one of her treats for working so hard before and during her exams. And then she's going to get like some little stationery items or maybe a jelly cat. So obviously we try not to have too many cuddly toys, which she does absolutely love cuddly toys. But so you can see that I've got getting all my beans in. Always more to do, isn't there? But thank you very much for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.